They will try to hide the sun, posing as the moon. They will try to score their points, stumping over you. There's no use in trying to save the day, 'cause superheroes they flew away.
The name's Peck, Dave Peck. Licensed to take pictures, hopefully. Welcome to this week's vlog, and I am in Glen Etive, which is a place that I've driven down several times actually. Years and years ago there used to be a harbour right at the end, but that's long gone. They've now put in power stations and hydroelectric, I think they're called. But once more I've been picking the brains of Gary and Carl from Glen Etive Photography and have found a really nice location which I've driven past before, and today I'm going to photograph it. So it involves waterfalling, it involves a bit of a walk around. We'll see what we can come up against. It's a flat kind of day, but there is some nice shapes in the clouds, so this could end up being a mono day. I mean, mono days are not normally flat, to be honest. You need a little bit of light just as you do in colour, but the sky's got a lot of texture, a lot of detail in it, and I'm quite in the mood for making it really dark and moody and very James Bondy. So welcome to the video. I hope you enjoy it. Next time you see me I'll be at the waterfall. Okay, so here's the shot. Wonderful, wonderful waterfall. I absolutely love this. Really nice. There's obviously a main one there, the little small one here, but the main picture is going to be the main one with the mountains in the background. We've got some snow on the peaks and the light that is coming, and it kind of comes out fleetingly and it comes out that way. So the picture is going to be a question of getting everything set up, getting it balanced, getting the filters on so I've got enough blur in the water, and I quite like smooth water, but I don't want to overexpose that because this is going to be a monochrome picture. I want a full range of tones in this, but I don't want whites really, I don't think. So I'm going to obviously make sure I look at the histogram really carefully to make sure that this looks okay. Make sure there's some detail in here, and then it's going to be a question of just waiting for the light to hit the mountains at the back. But looks a fantastic shot. I mean, it'll work well in colour as well, but I kind of see this as a monochrome. I don't know why, it's in my head, so that's what I'm going to compose it, and that's what I'm going to visualise when I'm doing it. Might change the camera to monochrome as well, the display, just to help me visualise things. But a wonderful, wonderful place. Right, let's get set up, and I'll talk to you when I've got the camera all set up and I'll show you what I'm doing. Right, sit down for this. Although it's not the most comfortable, but let me tell you my thoughts for this. So it's kind of, I'm trying to get the balance right between the foreground and this lovely boulder which you conveniently sit on. It's got a lovely line that runs through it which takes your eye into that boulder there, and that boulder's pointing to the waterfall, and then the waterfall splits like that, which takes you round this big boulder, and above that to the right is the snow-capped mountain with a forest. So there's lots of elements. Moving the camera slightly one way or another emphasises one of the other things, and really the main star of the show is the waterfall. So I've kind of moved the camera forward a little bit so that I don't get so much of the rocking, but I've got a little bit of it. And also with a long exposure, which I'm going to try in a second, I want this white water to really fan out. I've tried an exposure with 1/10 of a second. As far as the sky is concerned, so much detail in it, it's just going to be burning that in and making that really dark. There's a mountain to the right which I can get in if I tip the camera back and give it a bit of space on the top, but actually I'm just going to cut it off and have both mountains making the frame of it. So I think I've settled with this now. I'm just going to use a polarizer, and then we're probably going to try something like an 8-stop and then something like a 10-stop, and I'll see what I like best. So let me show you what I'm looking at. So we can see that we've got the elements of it really. This rock here is holding everything in. We've got this little waterfall. This is the main event. We've got another stone here which is forcing the eye into here. There's a nice little kind of line that goes that way. So I could put in the middle, but everything else then doesn't work. There's another little crack there which balances it. And it actually what it does is kind of does that and basically frames the waterfall. And there it is there. And then in the background, we haven't got an awful lot of sky in. We've got that little mountain there with some snow on it. And I've cut that mountain off at the top just because I don't want the eye to be distracted. I'm going to darken all of this down anyway. So that's going to work. So we're going to use a polarizer to get rid of any glare in here and in here. And then I've just shot an 1/8 of a second and it doesn't look brilliant because, oh my word. Because all I can see is this little bit here is white, but if you look, the water is flowing down here. So I think with a longer exposure, we're going to get more white and it's going to look a bit more dramatic. So that's the thought. Got the filters here. So what I'm going to do now is just put the polarizer on, and I'm going to try a couple of ND filters and see what I prefer to get the shutter speed down a little bit. Right, let me show you that now. Right, so you know how I love heights. Feeling okay, this is very grippy, but sloping straight off into the waterfall, so kind of feeling a bit on edge. Ugh. And my knees hurt. So let me just talk you through this. The camera's over here. We're currently doing a 1-minute exposure. I've done so far a 2-minute exposure, 1.5-minute exposure, and now a 1-minute exposure. And I've slightly changed the composition. Having said there are different elements there, I've got rid of the element on the right, which was that rock that I showed you, because to get it all in, I had to move the camera too far to the left. It's quite good, and I might choose that image, but I'm actually thinking this other little mini waterfall might be a supplementary bit to the composition, so it might work better. It's really windy, and I'm worried about the camera falling over, as ever. And hopefully it's going to be stable enough for the 2-minute exposure that we're doing. Right, I'm going to stop this because this is really blowing, and grab the cameras. Ooh. So, don't really like the long exposures here. Some do sometimes, but today just don't. So we're now at 1.5 seconds, which is almost still too long. So I've taken the 10-stop off. I've got the 4-stop on. I'm going to go to a sort of 2-stop, I think, plus a polarizer. I'm thinking that something around about 1/4 or 1/2 a second is kind of where I am. The other thing, of course, I can do is go to f8, and that will allow me to close the shutter down. I don't need an awful lot of depth of field here, so I think that could work. Where are we up to now? That's going to give me a second, so not an awful lot really. Let's try one at a second, and then I'm going to change the ND to something a bit lighter and see if we can't get 1/4 of a second, which I might actually be able to get with just the polarizer on. Struggling a bit with this. Actually, that's nice. That for me works. Okay, let's see if I can't get F11 and then maybe a half a second. So let me play around with the filters and see what we can get. But that looks like it's going to work. Right, well that works. At the moment, stood here, it works best for me half a second exposure. So I've taken off the ND, left the polarizer on. I think we're something like F13 now at half a second. Ooh, ooh. As you can see, it's a bit blowy. You nearly went then. Yeah, F13 at half a second seems to work the best. So I'll have a look at these in Lightroom, decide which ones I like, and I'll put a variety of them on there on the screen to show you with the shutter speeds, and you can tell me what you prefer. I know a lot of people don't like the blurred water, and I do personally, but I think also it's important with things like this to have some texture, otherwise it's just going to be a white blob in the middle of the picture, and it kind of loses the eye. So here comes the pictures. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer, and I'll try and hold on to the tripod. So I've just photographed this waterfall there, and that little bit, but didn't want to set up my other camera to film myself doing it, because it's wind's whipping through here, as you'd expect it to do in Scotland, in Glen Etive, in a valley. So what I've decided to do is shoot this anyway, hold the tripod so I can concentrate, and now put the other camera away, the big camera away. I thought I'd just do this little piece of camera for you. I've also just put the long lens on, the Z7 II, because the next bit of the journey is going to be in the car, and we often see, or I've often seen deer on the road here, so that'll be interesting. If we see them, I don't want to have to get out and change lenses. I might want to pick out some details while we're driving, because the Glen Etive road is quite long, it's about 12 miles I think. So I'll show you this picture. I'm still feeling a monochrome mood. That doesn't mean to say I won't process some colour, but feeling in a monochrome mood. Still got dramatic skies, got some wind, got some howling wind, got some kind of Scottish weather, and hopefully this is going to capture the mood. So let's put this on the screen for you now, and then we're going to carry on further down this Glen Etive road. We'll see what we can come across. Oh, well, we're going to carry on down Glen Etive a little bit, but if you can see the mountains down behind me, the rain's coming in. It's been really windy, and then it's been very calm, and then it's been very windy. Typical Scottish weather, really. And we're at a little looong which Gary wanted to photograph, but unfortunately it's so windy that it's very choppy, and he was looking for some reflections which aren't going to happen. I think that's down for another day. So we're going to end it here. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. I'm very grateful that you do that. It makes it all worthwhile. If you haven't subscribed, think about doing so. There's no subscription fee involved, it's completely free. So just give that a little click, it's down below. That helps me out a lot. And until next Sunday, when I'm going to be in Scotland still, but I'm driving home tomorrow. I've got a 10-hour drive back, but we're going to stop off somewhere for sunrise on the way home. So thanks very much for tuning in. See you next week. Goodbye.